Daryl said, I love to talk, but I love to listen even more. So if anybody has questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Feel free to interrupt the flow of the program at any time. So thank you all for coming today. My goal here is that you'll all leave today having a little more knowledge about how you or a friend or a family member could remain in their home for a longer period of time, hopefully saving that person substantial amount of money instead of moving into an assisted living home. So, yeah, that's kind of it. I'll give you my story on how I got into construction. So as a high school student, my brother was a couple of years older than me, and he went off to a trade program, which they still had back in those days, high school trade program. So he was going afternoons over to Laconia Tech. We grew up in Franklin, New Hampshire, and he used to come home in the afternoons. I was a sophomore, he was a junior, and showed me what he learned at the tech program that afternoon. So we'd be out in Dad's garage, finding old bent nails that my father had saved, and use some old hammers to straighten the nails out and bang some boards together. And I just fell in love with it at an early age. Went on to the same high school tech program as he did for my junior and senior year, and then went on to community college in Manchester, New Hampshire, and got an associate's degree in building construction technology. As I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, a lot of those trade programs have disappeared and been replaced by computer labs and nursing labs and other things. So it's harder to find an education in construction anymore than it was back in my day. So yeah, a little bit about my background and how I got into the industry. So
No, here, just top here. Here we go.
Okay, so a little bit about aging in place and what it means. So the ability of an individual to live independently and comfortably in their own home and community as they grow older. So you guys all live in a beautiful community, assuming you're all here in Eastman or Grantham. I've been in and around the area for the last 24 years and got very familiar with the community of Eastman and all its offerings, as well as the lovely town of Grantham. So yeah, the idea that somebody could stay living in this community for another few years, 5-6 years, instead of having to move somewhere else to live with a family member or to go into a assisted living facility, I think would be very beneficial. And as it says on the slide, concept just to stay in your home and be able to live where you're already comfortable and familiar with. So any questions, comments, thoughts? I know we're just getting into this, but everybody got a good feel on the benefits of trying to stay within your same home. And are you all homeowners here? How many in Eastman? Show of hands. Everybody's from Eastman. Okay.
We have friends, Mike.
Oh, there you go. One from Grantham. Welcome. So in age, how about age of homes? Can we get a show of hands for somebody's home that's 20 years or newer?
No.
30 years or newer? And 40 years or newer. All right, so pretty broad range. I'm trying to remember, do you know, Chuck, when the Eastman community was initially developed?
Back in the, well, most of the houses were built back in the late seventies, early and eighties, so most of them, I would say. Would you agree?
Yeah, our house was built in 77.
77, okay,
And the community is officially 52 years old now.
wow, great.
But it took a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was slow development,
It's still, yeah.
Right. um. Yeah, again, I think the offerings of Eastman are wonderful, so. Why home modifications matter? Certainly safety as we all age is a major concern. Slips, falls, I'm sure you heard that in last month's program if you were here. But slips, falls, trips, just they're all hazards. As we age, we tend to be a little less steady on our feet. One of my favorite reads from last year was a book called Younger Next Year. And it was literally written by a doctor and his patient whose names I've forgotten, but they got together and wrote this book about how important it is as we get into our late 40s and early 50s that we have good exercise program, good diet. And if we can get some cardio in, even if it's a brisk walk, it's going to do wonders for all of those things, our balance, our coordination, our ability to see hazards. So yeah, highly recommend that read, and it's not too late for those of you, if there are any that are over their mid-50s, but yeah, it's all good.
They're mid-seventies.
Hey, I was trying to be nice, Chuck. Stop taking away from. But yeah, in all seriousness, they talk a lot in that book about just being active, moving, and the more active we are, the more steady on our feet we are, so. Accessibility comes into play certainly with when we're considering aging in place or staying in our home. Most of the houses that you're all living in, I guess, don't have standard 3-foot wide doors, which can create barriers to whatever room it is that you're trying to get in. Back in the day, a 2'6" door was considered a normal size interior door, which is only a 30-inch opening before you take away the stops that are on that door. And then it comes down to really 29 inches by the time the clear openings factored for a 2'6" door, which most of you probably have in your homes. So aging in place says let's replace doors, at least to the important rooms, such as bathrooms. Entry doors have been 3 feet for a long time, the door from the exterior in. So that may be okay, but any of the interior doors, bedroom doors, bathroom doors should all get upgraded if you're planning on remaining in the house to a 3-foot wide door.
Because of wheelchairs.
And even walkers, or the use of canes. You can fit through with a walker through a 2'6" door, but chances are you're gonna be bumping your knuckles and becomes more of a hazard. So yeah, 3 foot's great. We don't build new homes, we're remodelers, but I've always wanted to build a proper aging in place new home, because it takes a lot of design requirements to factor how the front door is going to lay out as far as the access from the driveway and garage and that sort of thing. But yeah, maybe a little later in my life, my wife and I can build one, but ramps are certainly another consideration. So we've put a lot of semi-permanent ramps, I'd say, in different houses just to eliminate that step or two from the front walkway up to the main entrance. And same in garages. Unfortunately, the standard size garage in our area is 24 by 24. By the time you park a couple cars in it and put some trash cans in it, there isn't a whole lot of room left over for a ramp, but yeah, certainly ramps can be modified for one entrance or the other. Do you all have garages?
Condos don't.
No, okay. And are the condos accessible?
No.
No, okay,
Mine, no, some are really
steep,
steep walkways, have a little walkway, I mean.
yeah,
That was going to be my question, I don't think there's any answer. To like some, steep, like a 10-foot, 10-step outside.
right, and I'm not sure how Eastman would approve a
That was another question.
exterior lift or something, but there's something you may be familiar with that are called stair chairs that go on the inside of the building to allow going up a flight of stairs. During my research for this, they actually do have exterior stair chairs now. Very similar look, but to be made, to be used outside during any month, so something else to consider or keep in mind, so. Quality of life, again, quality of life, as far as I'm concerned, would be maintained or even improved from the standpoint of doing these modifications in your home. A, that you're gonna be able to stay there for a lot longer, and B, it's a familiar place to you. Not trying to get into anybody's personal finances, but everybody have a lot of equity built up in their home. Most people, their largest investment or largest investment in their portfolio is the home. So there's options for people that are even feeling that, well, I don't know that I can afford this home anymore. Well, if it's paid for and they've got a lot of equity built up in it, then certainly they can have options there to tap into equity line of credit. And there's even reverse mortgages, which have kind of gotten a bad reputation because of some of the companies that are advertising them on TV, but HUD, the Housing Urban Development Administration through the government, actually has programs that are available for reverse mortgages, so something to consider. Questions, thoughts? Yes.
I want to tell you about walking. I had my knees replaced a number of years ago. And I couldn't walk outside because it was this time of year. So I laid out a track in my house that 50 laps was about. And that worked.
Nice,
I still do it. That was in 2011, so.
good for you, yeah. Where there's a will, there's a way, they said, so, yeah, that's great. Did you move pictures around to different spots to make it feel like you were walking a different track or anything?
Your radio on or wherever
Yeah,
and that worked out very well. I don't always walk a mile, but I know that the 50 laps from my front door into the kitchen across the living room and back.
that's,
50 of those.
that's wonderful, yeah. So here's a slide of a project that we did over in Vermont, and we do a lot of remodeling projects. Some pull at my heartstrings a little more than others. This was a older couple that reached out to us through a referral, and the wife had a disease, which I don't remember what it was, but it was a debilitating disease that they knew within the next 4 to 5 years, she was gonna be in a wheelchair. So they had us come and assess their house on how they could set up an area of the house that was gonna be wheelchair accessible for her, had its own self-contained bathroom that had all the accessibility features and that sort of thing. So we ended up doing this small addition. You can probably notice the difference between the smaller profile siding versus the larger profile siding on the rest of the house. And just set up what was a basic ranch style house with a long corridor going down and 2 bedrooms on the end. We converted one of those bedrooms into her suite that contained the accessible bathroom, a large bedroom, and a ramp off the exterior so that she could go down to the yard in the summer months and feel like she was still mobile and getting around like she always had. So great project, and like I said, just one of those that really pulled at my heartstrings because we were able to do it in a budget that met their needs and completed a project that she loved and will be something that they can stay in the home a lot longer than they would have been able to without this redesign. And yeah, the pitch on the ramps, if any of you aren't familiar, but the pitch on a ramp like that is for every 12 inches in height that you, for every inch in height that you go up, you need to go 12 inches out with a ramp, called a 1 in 12. So yeah, ends up being a very long ramp. Yes, sir.
With regards to having landings.
I'd have to turn to the resident expert on that. I want to say it's 15 feet.
It is, yeah, and then you have to have a landing of like 5 by 5. Yeah,
And
That looks like about 22 feet on the ramp.
well, there you go.
I would be surprised if it's 22 feet, but it might be. And also, I believe the residential building code is a little different than the commercial building code as far as the 15-foot rule with a 5-foot turning radius. I'm not sure if Carol can correct me on that or not, but so. Questions or comments on that? Slide just shows a neat and clean living room without a lot of rugs and some wide doorways with, again, an area with a tile floor with not a lot of rugs. So easy to access, get around, get a wheelchair through, walker through, what have you. And yeah, rugs are trip hazards. I remember my grandmother lived up the road from me when I was in my late teens, early 20s, but they were trying to stay in their ranch home as long as possible, and that was one of our weekend projects as she got less steady on her feet, was to go up and pull all the rugs up. She had macular degeneration and got to the point where she pretty much couldn't see the hand in front of her face, and we strung ropes from the living room chair that she sat in over to the kitchen, and then from there to the bathroom, just so that she could hold the rope and know what path she was on. So it allowed her to be able to maneuver without having to call on my grandfather for help every time she needed to go to the bathroom or what have you. So
I can also add that In addition to widening a doorway, you could also just replace the door if you had it with a barn door, you know, the kind that slides on a rail above. And then you don't have to worry about where the door swings, or just sometimes by changing the swing of a door, instead of going into a space where it's crowded, you could swing it out. And a lot of falls happen in a bathroom. And if someone falls in the bathroom and that door is swinging in, you can't open that door if they fell against the door. So that's a really good thing to think about if you want to have a safe bathroom in your older. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I used to be on the EMS when I was in Franklin. As a call firefighter. And we had several of those incidents where somebody had had a heart attack or a stroke or something inside the bathroom and fell up against the door. Because as Carol was saying, the bathrooms are so small that when you've got a heavy person that's now got an emergency issue inside the bathroom, sometimes it's difficult for us as firefighters or EMS to even make access into the bathroom. So great point. Thank you. And then, yeah, it's a pretty simple thing, but round doorknobs as we age are difficult to use. And something as simple as changing out a round style doorknob to a lever doorknob works much better for aging hands or arthritic hands, just to open and close the door. So.
They,
Yes.
I mentioned sliding doors. If you have the room to put in a sliding door, then it doesn't swing out or in.
I think Carol just kind of mentioned that, although
Barn doors.
barn door are exterior mounted.
And sometimes pocket doors, you think of pocket
Yeah,
doors?
yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of the hardware in a pocket door because it's inside of the door. And they're usually a little hook or a little lever, and sometimes they're hard to get to. And then it's hard if the door is heavy to pull it with a small piece of hardware, but.
Yeah.
But it is also a good solution because they disappear.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, as Carol mentioned, the hardware can be tricky on a pocket door. They are getting better hardware. Some of them now, you just push a little button on the side of the door and it pops out. And they have new, similar to maybe cabinets that you have in your house with the soft close hinges on them. They actually are making hardware for a pocket door now that it has similar hardware going in both directions. So your pocket door, you can slide and it'll slide out of the way and then pull itself back into the pocket. And if you push on the end of the door, it then closes with the slow close hardware. Yes.
Well, Brakes makes a doorknob or interior door that it's round, but you just push it forward.
Great. That's Brinks, you said?
Brakes.
Yep. Nice. I'll have to look into that. Yeah, obviously, we all know how much technology has come along. I think a lot of the technological things are driving the rest of, I'm forever surprised by the changes in the construction industry. And back when I was banging nails 15 years ago, what was available to us then versus what my guys that are working on the job site are using now for tools and materials and equipment. So, yeah. Improvements, engineering. So a few interior shots of that same project that I told you kind of pulled on my heartstrings. So before the furniture was moved in, but that's the large sliding 8-foot sliding door going out to the deck. A closet with a 3-foot door opening with hanging shelves in there. And then a mini split up on the top right-hand corner of the right-hand photo, just for. So she's got control of heat and AC in her space. Yeah, and closet space, we didn't put any pull down racks like what's shown here in that closet, but they could always be added later. So there's just so much great hardware out there now that makes storage more convenient and more accessible. And yeah, the upper image is just showing a rail that's been added to a bed for not only security reasons of rolling out of the bed at night, but also just a handhold to grab onto as you're getting from the seated to standing position, so. I might argue that there shouldn't be a rug there, but. I feel like some of these aren't showing completely. Another, looks like the bottom of the photo might have got cut off. I apologize for that, but walk-in showers. So probably 5 years ago, we converted to every shower that we install. We're trying to make it a walk-in or curbless shower. It was probably 8 years ago that we worked for a customer in Eastman to remodel their bathroom. And I recommended to the couple that was probably in their 60s at the time that we ought to do a curbless shower. And they kind of laughed at me and said, "How old do you think we are? We're still fit. We run and bike and we ski and we don't need a curbless shower." So I said, "Tell me why you wouldn't want a curbless shower. Like, what's the downside of not having to step over a curb to get into your shower?" And they couldn't come up with one. And I said, the cost of a curbless shower is probably only about $1,000 more than a curbed shower. And if you've got it, if you ever need it, you don't have that barrier that is usually a 6-inch curb to get into your shower. So yeah, without any high pressure sales pitch, they decided that, yeah, why not? Let's put the curbless in. We also made a 3-foot door going from their master bedroom into the master bath. And I got a phone call the following winter after we had done that remodel project, thank you phone call from the owner saying, "I just broke my hip skiing and I had to have hip surgery and put pins in, and I'm gonna be on a walker for the next 3 months. And I can't thank you enough for convincing us to do a curbless shower," because she said, "I don't need my husband to help me bathe and shower. I can get in and out of that shower." She said, "I just walk in to the shower with my walker, slide the walker aside once I've grabbed the grab bars inside the shower, and then turn the shower on, and I'm self-sufficient." So, yeah, people only know what they know or what they're used to. So taking the time to listen to them and show them other options is really important in our business. So.
I have a question.
Yes.
Curbless shower, is that completely flat or does it have some?
Completely flat. So yeah, the ones that we build, the bathroom floor is completely flat. And then from the shower door, where the heavy glass shower door closes to, from there into the shower is all pitched. From the shower door back to one of the walls to allow for what's called a linear drain. It's a long skinny drain that's put against the wall that shower floor is pitched to. So once you're in and have the shower door closed and the weather strip on the bottom of the shower door, all that water just has to go to the drain. Does that make sense? Yes.
Does, what kind of space you have to deal with when you decide to put in a curbless shower? Depend on whether you can make it for a wheelchair or not. Like, you get anything.
So yeah, space is always a consideration, and having enough room in a bathroom. The standard is that there should be a 5-foot clear space within any bathroom to maneuver a wheelchair, or to maneuver a walker to get to the commode or to get to the shower and those sorts of things. So a lot of times we're looking outside of the footprint of the bathrooms that we're looking to remodel. And can we steal a foot from an adjacent room or from an adjacent closet or something? So, and then as Carol mentioned earlier, even an outswinging door saves a dramatic amount of room within a bathroom. So yeah, I guess the short answer is that a 5x5 space in a corner would be best for a shower.
Can the flooring be either fiberglass or tile or some?
I think I'm gonna show you a picture if it didn't get cut off. So that shower base there, again, that's that same project that I was showing you before. That shower base does have a 1-inch curb to it. There's no shower curtain up there now, but that was gonna get just a shower curtain. And the manufacturer of that shower base has a small ramp that when the time comes, she can set that fiberglass ramp just outside of the shower and allow her to wheel her wheelchair right in. So yes, we actually cut out the floor joist in that part of the house and reinforced the area that we left below the part that we didn't have to cut out, so that that fiberglass base actually sat down that close to being flush with the floor.
It wants to do it with tile.
You get,
We go on this, and we did work for remodel it. Yeah, we did a totally curbless shower. And we have a small.
1x1 tile. or
1x1
something.
tiles, and it's, ours is not even pitched to a linear drain, it's center drain, but it's just all pitched to the thing.
Yep, which works
And there's
well.
a seat along one wall.
Yeah, that's the other thing I mentioned, having a seat in there is very helpful.
We
Yeah.
built the house and then he wrote his name. And so we got proof of concept much earlier than we ever intended.
Right, yeah,
But he was able to maneuver his knee scooter.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
I could maneuver right up to the edge, I mean, there was no real edge, and it's curveless, but there was a grab bar, and so you could just swing in and then sit down on the bench that was in there, it was tile,
nice,
boring bench.
yep,
Yeah.
excellent.
Then the other thing is the toilet. Every toilet paper holder in the house is a grab bar.
They're designed.
They're designed as grab bars, but the other side of the toilet has a glass block wall that's stepped down. So you can actually use both sides to
Wow,
maneuver off. That's another thing we learned, didn't plan it that.
yeah,
Figure stuff out.
nice. And you can see the grab bars in this shower. There is actually blocking on the left-hand side in the wall for a fold-down seat. I don't know if any of you noticed it in the previous photo. I got kind of jumpy on my photos, jumped ahead, unless Carol can tell me how I moved backwards, but the previous photo had a very common fold-down seat in it, which as long as there's blocking factored into the wall ahead of time.
Yeah, you can start to see it.
Yep, it's a bit of a bench that's
Mhm.
washed out there, but Yeah, just having those proper handholds, especially when we're in conditions that tend to be wet and slippery and. And then the left-hand picture's the vanity, again, built so that a wheelchair could roll right underneath the vanity. They do make, probably seen them in commercial bathrooms before, they make padded covers for the drains and the cold and hot water shut off as well. Again, it's something they can add at a later date or may have added by now, because this project was probably 5 years ago. But just all options of her saying, I don't need that now. I don't want to put an ugly white padded thing on my sink drain now. I can certainly put it on later, so. Questions, thoughts? Anybody having fun? Anybody learning anything? I mean, I feel like I'm just. So, yeah, I guess if I had built a slideshow myself, the one on the left probably wouldn't have been on there, but one of my staff helped me. That's just showing a vanity with a makeup mirror there on the left-hand side. There's really nothing too accessible about that shot. The shot on the right, however, is another tiled floor with a curbless drain, and it's really hard to pick up even when you're there and perfect on, in place, but there's two lines that run right across here. That's actually the drain. It's called a tile-in drain. And it's just got 2 1/8-inch gaps around all 4 sides of the drain. So that shower is pitched from the back 2 walls down towards the door and just drops through that drain. So
How big is that shower? It's huge.
that one, off the top of my head, it was 7 years ago, probably. It's 6 by 6, 6 by 7. It's big.
And you get something like that, you made somewhat smaller?
Yes, yep. Again, the important thing to remember would be the opening that we need to get a wheelchair through, and then the maneuverability once you get into the space in a wheelchair or a walker to and that little shelf in the back would not be considered a bench. That's a just a footrest for shaving of legs. So every design's different. And yes, Chuck.
Let me just explain. David's here today because he's done a lot of work for Martin.
That's the only reason?
Bought a house a few years ago now, and David did a lot of work there. So when we started talking about this, I called him up and said, hey, come and talk to people about handicap accessible stuff, because many of you who see me walk know that I walk with a crutch, and it made it worse. In fact, last winter I had a walk for 3 or 4 months. But one thing we said about the bathroom area, and we looked for a house in Eastman that had enough space to put in a handicap bathroom. And it's a very difficult thing to find. And we had our choices. We were doing this in 2019, so it was before COVID. We had to have choice of houses. We didn't have to look at one today and decide to buy it. But one thing we did in the master bath, it was, I think it was my idea, not Marty. We did not use tile. Tile to me is a bear to keep clean, the routing for chicken. And as you get older, you're probably not going to be down on your hands and knees doing it. So, as Dave will tell you, we had a new product and both the shower and the floor is tile in the bathroom, but not in the shower. And it's worked out beautifully. It's a smooth surface. I don't remember what it was called.
Onyx.
Yeah.
And actually,
we felt that was so much easier for us to maintain, but we were looking at that because nobody liked to clean bathrooms.
That's actually Onyx shower there. So Onyx is a resin poured mold. Some of you might be familiar with a product called Corian that they used to make countertops out of and that sort of thing. Very similar to that. And we buy it in that base is Onyx. So, and also the wall panels. And I think we did this in yours too, Chuck, but they have an option where we can set in a row of tile, which we did there, decorative tile, just to make it look less like a fiberglass shower unit. Give it a little pop of color and a focal point. So, yeah, thanks for adding that.
Is it slippery when wet? Is the, no, because Onyx is not slippery when it's wet.
It's got a slight texture to the base, shower base, to eliminate that slippery.
The shower
Yes.
base is separate from the walls,
Okay.
not like a fiberglass sheet.
Okay.
And I've never slipped it. And I'm usually standing more or less on 1 foot when I'm showering. The other one is just there for a little back. It's just something to think about, you know, if you're doing something, not necessarily new to read that.
So there's another image with the teak fold down bench, some grab bars. Wasn't one of our builds, was one that one of my staff members found online. A sink that doesn't have any obstructions under it. And a toilet with a swing out grab bar and also holding the toilet paper. So I had a client I was on the phone with last week talking about a potential bathroom remodel. Again, don't know their age exactly, but I think they're in their 50s and they were talking about putting the commode in its own closed off room. And I mentioned accessibility and how long were they planning on staying in the house, and even if one of them broke a hip, how are they going to get in and out of a toilet that's closed off in a closet? So their comment was, yeah, I guess we don't want that. Thanks for mentioning it. So yeah, toilets want to kind of be easily accessible, and especially if somebody ends up in a wheelchair, you need to be able to transfer from a wheelchair that's beside a toilet onto the commode. So, all things to consider. And anybody with, yes.
I had a plumber at my house recently and took a look at my toilet that was having some issues. And basically because it's a 40-year-old, that when you're probably gonna want to replace it. Said there's a higher version now.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called.
Comfort height. Comfort height.
Comfort height, which I think
Yep.
would be. I don't need that, I'm fine, I mean, that's fine, but I hadn't really thought of it. In terms of access, yeah, I mean, so it's just something, if you're going to do this, you're gonna wanna hire an absolute.
Right. And it used to be the
It's like a phone.
ADA standard toilet was that height, and then somebody in the industry realized that, wait, why is the standard toilet so low? I don't know about the rest of you, but when I sit on a standard toilet, I feel like my knees are up around my ears. And then you put it comfort height toilet, which I believe is only 3 inches taller than the standard height, and it feels like you're on a throne. Like, this is really comfortable. Why did we ever have toilets that were so short? But
For children.
yeah, right. Easier cleaning because, yeah. So. Yeah, industry's improved for sure. Toto toilets, anybody heard of a Toto combination toilet, bidet, the whole? I don't have one, but every customer we've installed one for decides they want them in all their bathrooms because they're so luxurious.
They really,
So
we just put one in, it's amazing.
heated seats,
Yep.
spritz, air dry, you name it. So, yeah. Something nice. It's a Toto toilet. Yeah.
It's Japanese.
Yeah.
Japanese. We were in Japan and after that, we came home and bought one.
Right. And yeah, the same customer that I was convincing not to have their commode in a closet, said we want a Japanese toilet. And I said, okay, I need some more explanation on that, I guess. And they said, yeah, we don't remember the manufacturer, but it's got a bunch of accessories with it. And I said, oh, that's the Toto toilet. And yeah, we put a lot of those in. And so they were confirming that it was a Japanese brand, not a Japanese toilet. And there it is. I don't know that that is the Toto. Kohler now has a similar one. And one of the other things we've been doing lately on some of our space challenged remodels is that you can actually get a toilet that has the tank within the wall. Similar to what you'd see in a rest area or something. So it's literally just the toilet bowl that is sticking outside of the wall. Saves about 8 inches of space in the design by recessing the tank into the wall. More expensive because all the tank components are buried in the wall. And then it's got the little push button on the wall similar to what you may have seen in a public bathroom before.
What's the phone stuff and some sort of alarm system?
I would have to say that's some sort of intercom system. Again, this isn't a photo from one of our jobs. It was just something that was online. But as Carol was mentioning before, a lot of times slips, falls, strokes, heart attacks, what have you, happen in bathrooms. So having some type of intercom system or phone in a space like that's not a bad idea.
And now if you have an Apple Watch and you fall, it goes right to 911.
Oh,
So that's a clever little thing.
Can you wear one in the shower?
Yeah, they can get wet. I mean, just like your phone can get wet. As long as you're not scuba diving, it'll work.
Or maybe in bed.
But yeah, maybe in bathtub.
Now, my question, I guess, is for the active runner or sports person that probably falls down on a regular basis, but doesn't need 911, how does it know the difference?
No, I think you can
It
disconnect.
asks you.
Yeah, it asks you,
Oh.
yeah. Are you
Do you
okay?
know?
Yeah. do you-
Oh, really? That is cool. Huh?
The one thing that I think you need to talk about here, and probably you will before you're done. But in Eastman, there are more fiberglass tub shower combinations. I think most of the houses originally were built that way. And putting grab bars in that is not an easy thing. Because I didn't realize it, but the fiberglass shower unit does not back up to the studs necessarily in your bathroom. There's often a space there.
Yep.
And that was pointed out because we had to put in our lower level bathroom a grab bar, and they could do it because the back of that bathroom is exposed.
Yep.
It was not, there was no drywall on the other side of it. So they could easily put the blocking in that you have to put a safe grab bar in.
Yep.
And if you're building a new house, I'm sure that was the case, but they just did it, as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the only place we get fiberglass is the lower level, with this drag bar on each of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a company called Wing It. And they have developed a large rubber washer that goes on to the bolt that you're putting through. So you drill a 3/4 of an inch hole that's gonna be concealed by the grab bars. You push this wing it through. And then as you tighten the bolt down for the grab bar, it's mushrooming out like a 2.5 or 3 inch piece of rubber. And that actually will secure a grab bar to a fiberglass tub and meet the requirements for the amount of weight a grab bar needs to hold. So
What's the name of that company?
wing it.
Wait.
I'm sorry, there was a question in the back corner when Chuck jumped in. Yes.
Oh, with regards to the solar farms, you can actually get a steep, if you transfer on your physical service, full, so you have to replace anything. The seat comes in, but you must have close enough and plug it in. I put it in myself, it's very, very simple,
Yeah,
and it's a Toto.
nice.
They're pretty expensive, but we have two of them, one upstairs, one downstairs.
Like most, you try once, you gotta have them everywhere. So actually, that is the product. Thank you, Carol. I
Yeah,
had
they're-
no idea.
Got these grab bars over here, huh? Yeah, bar,
Kimberly, a friend of mine, Kimberly, heard about this and she contacted me. She had 3 really nice, expensive, unused grab bars that she had bought for her husband. They can get them installed before he died. So she wanted to donate them to this event today. If anybody is thinking of doing any kind of renovation, these 3 grab bars, there's 3 really nice grab bars there that come with wingets.
I had no idea that there were wingets back there,
So
but
help, I mean,
that's-
help yourself fight over it, whatever. I think there's, yeah. Oh.
So, yeah, all good stuff. As Chuck was saying, the fiberglass tub shower units that most of you might have in your house. The flange at the top of the shower is the only spot that's touching the wall. Then the extrusion of the fiberglass shower comes out about 1.5 inches and then curves down. And it's well away from the studs in the area where you would typically install a grab bar. So I have been in houses to look at remodel projects and seen where there was a grab bar at one point, but it wasn't attached to anything other than the fiberglass and had been ripped off. So, which is more dangerous than anything. Here's an image of a very accessible kitchen. Obviously planned out that way or added after some type of injury or illness, but yeah, I was very impressed by this picture. Everything's right at hand, and whole idea with aging in place is like not to compromise the lifestyle that you had prior to. I mean, it's changes and modifications to your house, but if you always love to cook and bake, then somebody should be able to remodel your house. So even if you were in a wheelchair, you could still enjoy cooking and baking or the crafts you do or what have you. So. Yeah, and some more kitchen pull down shelving. You can imagine how hard it would be to reach not only the first shelf in an upper cabinet if you're in a wheelchair, but the second shelf is definitely out of reach. So they make units that fit right in your existing cabinets and allow you to grab a handle right at the bottom of the cabinet and pull the shelving to you instead of. So. And then sink as well, kitchen sink with a knee space under it. Most of us are aware that's usually a cabinet and probably full of cleaning supplies or stuff that we never know what's under there. But yeah, from the standpoint of just being able to remove that cabinet frame and still have a sink there, it's a great modification. Not sure, again, this wasn't one of our projects, but I don't see the drain pipe for that sink, but that would be another situation where the drain pipe you'd want to cover with some type of padding, so you're not ramming your knees against it. But and then even the wide poles on the drawer fronts there, that's becoming kind of standard in the industry. I don't know if it's just a fad or not, but everybody's going to much wider poles. I think the smallest pole we put in recently is in the 6-inch range, whereas we used to have the little 3.5. You can barely get 3 fingers in there. So they look nice and just make sense from being able to easily open a door or drawer. Upper photo shows a refrigerator unit, 2-drawer refrigerator unit. And then another small refrigerator unit with a glass right there. Well, maybe I was quick to judge. They do make, I don't know if that's a refrigerator or a dishwasher, but they do make double drawer dishwashers as well. Over under drawer, you can wash the top drawer or the bottom drawer, or wash them both at the same time. Much easier to load, especially if somebody was in a wheelchair or on a walker, than trying to lower the door down, which some of the doors can be quite heavy, and then have to bend over to lift the door back up to close it. So and then a lowered range there on the left-hand side that easily accessible. Elevators, a lot of people think elevators are extreme. Not so much anymore as far as residential upgrades to put an elevator in. Really, the footprint you need is a 4x4 space that you can give up on both floors. I've got a remodeler that I was just at a conference with, and he's getting ready to put one in out in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. And again, elderly couple looking to stay in their home, and they came up with a space in their garage that they could give up that 4x4 footprint, and it was going to go up through their living room and to the second floor of the structure. So they were literally going to be able to pull their car in the garage, wheelchair onto the lift, and stop at the first floor and get off at the living space, or go up to the second floor and get off at the bedroom space. His estimate on that project was going to be about $50,000 all in, which I know is a lot of money, but doesn't come close to what it would cost for he and his wife to be in assisted living for the next 2 years. And if they can stay in their home, still entertain their family and friends in the home they have been living in, then it's a value. Questions on elevators?
How about something on stair chairs?
I wish I had a slide. I don't. Maybe
Well,
you
I
could give us a
propose
synopsis.
Stair chairs, right? And again, Mark and I put a stair chair in because we have a house with a main living area, and down below is full finished floor above. And our office space is down there, and I can't do stairs easily anymore. And I can tell you exactly what a stair chair with one bend in it. Well, you know what it looked like. You go down and there was a landing and then another 4 steps. That chair cost us $11,000 to install. And the companies was at the time out of Concord, I think they joined the national company. But it's a lifesaver if you want to get between levels. Evidently, a lot cheaper than putting in an elevator.
Right. And I grew up in thanks for sharing that. I grew up in a 1900s house, early 1900s, 1908 or something, in Franklin, 3-story colonial. Lived there till I moved out in my 20s when I was 38, 40. My father had a brain bleed, and there was lots of conversations with the family, like, what are we gonna do? Dad's still in decent shape, but he can't navigate stairs anymore. So we talked about lots of options, the former living room that didn't get used on a regular basis, turning that into his bedroom. But then there's only a powder room on the first floor. So what is he gonna do about bathing? Can we take out part of the mudroom and make a extension of the powder room in that area so that he'll have single floor living? And then I told my parents about the same company that I told Chuck about with the stair chair. And they ended up coming in and installing a stair chair that went straight up the colonial set of stairs, which I'm sure you've all seen or can picture. And yeah, it allowed him to go up and down for the next 4 years until he had to go into a nursing home. And my mother loved it as well, because she said every time she did laundry, she just threw the laundry basket on the stair chair. She didn't have to worry about slipping and falling on the stairs carrying a heavy laundry basket. So she'd put the basket on the stair chair and use the remote and just send it up. So, yep.
People do that have land, the stairway goes up as a landing, and then you turn the corner, the next one is stairs. How does that work with a stair chair?
Similar to the way Chuck's is, but
The chair, the railing of the chair right on goes down and bends around. And goes back down.
So you don't have to get out of that chair.
And our chair was a little more expensive because we had that turn and landing situation.
and it's a very small rail, probably sticks 9 or 10 inches off of the wall.
No, it sits on the stairs. It sits
Oh,
on
it
the
does.
treads, actually.
Okay,
They didn't go into the wall. They fastened it directly to the stair
treads, but it still sticks off the wall, like,
Off the wall, yeah.
and then that seat actually folds up. So when not in use, somebody can easily navigate the stairs without the stair chair. Yes,
I recently saw a picture on where I saw this.
on the internet, I bet.
Probably somewhere else. Similar sort of stair chair, not the ones I'd ever seen before, I don't think like what Chuck is describing. It's on the side and it kind of folds down this way. The one I saw is still on the side, but it folded down the other way, so it's like you came up to it and sat down almost like you were sitting on a step. And then it takes you up to the top.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, the chair actually pivots, the chair portion of it pivots.
Yeah,
So when you sit down on it, you go up the top and pivot it over so that you can step off on your main level,
yeah.
on your level.
I don't know how this works at both ends. I've never seen one quite like this.
Huh.
I've seen much simpler looking. You know,
That's not,
Right.
really,
No.
you stop and look at it, but it works beautifully.
yeah.
And we're up and down that multiple times a day. Marge's even started to use that. And she does the same thing with her, you know, she's taking anything heavy between levels, she puts it on the stair chair and sends it up or down, it can remote. We don't have to be on a chair to get it to walk and down.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's a dumb waiter too.
Exactly.
Any questions on elevators? They do make, again, New England, we have a lot of snow and ice conditions, but in part of my research for here, they do make exterior elevators that, if you've got two window openings or two door openings on the exterior of a building, you can actually use a elevator that doesn't take up any floor space inside your house. So obviously it takes modifications, holes have to be cut and doors need to be put in, but yeah, it's a plexiglass enclosed exterior elevator, so. And as I had mentioned earlier, there's a exterior stair chair also available. Proper lighting, thank you, Carol, for mentioning that we probably needed some lighting in our presentation, but lighting is certainly something we all need to have more of, especially as we age or have eye issues or what have you. So the bottom one's showing a motion activated light, and the top one is showing just lights that are LED lights that are fairly easy and economical to install on stairways to light up the stairs as you navigate them. Another thing with stairs, makes a huge difference just having the riser, the part that you're stepping up to get onto a tread on a stair, a different color than the tread itself. So navigating stairs that might be all made out of oak, going up or down is difficult because you can't tell the difference between the two surfaces, whereas just painting the riser white and then leaving the tread out really makes it stand off on how high you need to lift your foot to get to the next tread.
And you can also put a tape on the nosing of the stair so that you can see the edge of the stair when you're going down too.
Yep. And a lot of those are non-slip, so almost like a piece of sandpaper with an adhesive backing on, which prevents the foot from slipping off the tread on your way down. But also, as Carol said, highlights the edge of the tread, so.
And there are also gadgets now where you can, they're a Bluetooth remote. So you know how you used to, well, you're sitting in your chair and the sun is setting and you don't have your lamp on that's on the other side of the room and you don't want to get up. Well, there's a gadget you can plug into the wall that you plug your lamp into, and then you have a remote, one of 59 other ones in your house. And you can operate your lights with the remote.
You can use your phone.
Or you can use your phone.
Or you can use Alexa.
This is
Right. Or you can close the blinds, or yeah, just about anything can be controlled via Wi-Fi now, so. Speaking of Wi-Fi. Smart doorbells and locks, smart thermostats, smart lighting, smart appliances. Everything's just so much smarter these days. Yeah, we install a lot of Nest thermostats. You may be familiar, may not, but they actually record movement within the house and kind of start to set up a program based off of what time you wake up in the morning, what time you go to bed at night. All those things are just being recorded by motion in front of the thermostat, and it adjusts the temperature up and down accordingly. Of course, you can use the app and override that, but a lot of our out-of-state clients love them because before they leave Massachusetts or Connecticut to come up to their vacation house, they just turn the heat up on their phone and arrive to a warm house instead of a house at 50 degrees. Smart doorbells, just a good safety feature, but again, if you're confined to a wheelchair or what have you, if somebody comes to your door, it gives you a notification on your tablet or your phone that the doorbell saw some movement. And you can look at on your phone to see if it's, oh, just the UPS guy dropping off a package, or if it's somebody that's about to ring the doorbell or just did ring the doorbell. And then smart appliances. As far as I'm concerned, they haven't taken off as much as some of the others, but, or at least with our clients, but yeah, the appliances now can literally tell you when you need to pick up more milk at the grocery store the next time you go, or reorder your food through Amazon or something, so. Smart lighting, that's what Carol was just mentioning it, keyless entries, surveillance cameras. So.
I was just gonna add, and also like just having iPads, which pretty much everybody has now. If you can't leave your house, you can have telehealth, and it's a really great way to, if you're, say, caring for someone who's, who has to take their meds at a certain time. There are all kinds of systems that are attached to healthcare that you can do with iPads, and that's a completely different ballgame.
No, it's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of that is for the individual or the family member, just to ease their mind, eliminate that anxiety of being able to have a doctor on the screen talking you through whatever it is that you're feeling or going through at the moment. And, a lot of times people, especially as they get older, are, oh, this is the big one, and I better call 911. And maybe if they got on the phone with telehealth, they find out it was indigestion, or that there's less to worry about. So. Easy homeowner modifications, so declutter, organize. I know I need to do that more at my house, but we all tend to hold on to things maybe way longer than we should. Rule of thumb is if you haven't used it in the last year, you probably don't need it anymore. Just get rid of it. Applying the non-slip surfaces. Multiple reasons for that, but as Carol said, the stair treads are great. My mother stayed with us for a year at our house in Sunapee, and we had put down a non-slip pad in the bottom of the fiberglass shower unit she was using, because even though it had some texture to it, it didn't have enough texture for her to feel comfortable. And as we spoke before, some of these modifications can be costly, but what's the ROI on these upgrades versus what it would cost to move into a assisted living facility? I even thought the assisted living facility at 4,500 to 9,000 was on the low side from numbers I've been hearing in our area. But yeah, nursing homes at $8,000 to $15,000 a month. Kind of last slide wrapping things up, but just where are we most comfortable? Most of us are most comfortable in our own home and our own environment, and with the neighbors that we've got to know and love, and just staying in that environment as long as possible. Yes.
Now, the top of the stair.
in my particular case, my bedroom's door is here. And just as I step out of my bedroom, the stairs going down is right there. And I have visualized I'm just coming up about 5 years, but doesn't matter, I felt I should put something here because I can see if I step, for some reason, I'm a little confused, I step out of my bedroom rather than walking this way, I could very easily just turn and go. So I've been trying to figure in my brain and design some like sturdy gate here because I've got one of those folding gates to keep my granddogs when they come visit from going downstairs or for my younger grandchildren going downstairs, and that's fine. But I'm not the size of a dog or a cat. If I should go like this and that gate's gonna it's just gonna come down with me.
Right.
So is there some sort of, and I figure how high should it be? It should be, I would think almost waist high.
3
waist
feet.
high,
3 feet probably.
you know, but. Swinging it this person, I mean, I've come up with a few ideas, I haven't talked to anybody who could do it with my ideas, but you didn't mention anything about protecting, from someone falling down the stairs, I mean, what you.
Yeah, in my mind, I'm going to kind of a custom built gate that's swings out of the way on hinges.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe it would be 2 sections, because it would fold into the railing, I mean, because if it's just one long one, that's gonna be over there to get or grab or something, anyway.
Right.
But you didn't. But you think it should be.
Somebody's gonna bail us out over here, let's.
When there was a picture here, and I saw it a lot on the recent trip, the bars that fold down on the side of the toilet. You
Yep.
could have a bar like that that goes up, so it's not down all the time, but you could put it down in the evening or whenever, then it's a solid metal bar.
So it just be, which would probably be, you don't have to get, that's a really good idea.
That is.
I like that.
Pictures. They also install, where I saw them installed were in bathrooms, and so they're out of the way if you don't need them, but it just folds down, it's a double bar. It was on one of those pictures, I think that would be a good idea for the steps.
Right
That
there.
one right there,
There's
it
no
looks
lights.
fold up against the wall,
Yeah.
so they're not down all the time, and so they're very easy to go up and down.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
In place.
It might be not even need to go all the way across the front stair.
Right.
Maybe enough that you would catch
Do
yourself.
it catch you, yeah.
Right, and if you look at it, I just see this could be a point of disaster if I'm not quite.
Right.
Checklists today, but it could be tomorrow.
Right.
Or do you sleep well?
My husband would then be terrified and yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
Any-
for your ideas.
Closing questions, thoughts, comments?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I was thinking, as David has been telling you, and what I've experienced is that a lot of the renovations we need to make are not inexpensive. And it crossed my mind, are they tax deductible? I hate to tell you, but I talked to my tax guy yesterday after I had that thought, and he said no. He said, there's nothing in the tax code that even mentions anything like that. He said, but you can, he said, if you can tie it into an energy efficiency. We are back in the time in the world where we can get deductible for energy efficiency things. So I don't know how you do that, but just so if you happen to think about it, I've already done the research for you.
It's good business for you.
Right.
I need that.
Yeah, and I know that the recliners that scoots your butt right out of the chair can be paid for under maybe it's Medicare or Medicaid. So anyway, but you can always ask Medicare if they'll pay for it.
Right.
Yeah, the one thing that he wasn't certain about is if you had a prescription or something, then that might be a possibility. In other words, if your doctor says you need this or you need that, you might, then you can question, but if it's just something that you're doing without that. Because that call falls into the healthcare issue thing, not, Medicare issue.
Yeah.
So that might be a possibility.
Question in the back?
Yes, I'm harking back to your ramp. And I'm wondering if you have advice for a simple way to make the ramp safe in the winter time, when you've had freezing rain, or it's just, you've had a hard frost and it's wet. You can't really tell it's wet. What do you suggest to make that ramp safe
So
in the winter?
New England, with all the snow and ice and varying conditions we have, the only thing that I've seen that works good is the heat mats. So it would plug into an outdoor outlet and you lay these down the ramp. They come in custom sizes, so you could probably get one that would go end to end. But if you turn that on prior to it snowing, the snow that hits it will melt. And it won't refreeze as long as that's on. So think of the old electric
That sounds
blanket.
easier to deal with than putting slats in or something.
Right.
And where would you find the heat mat?
Google search, I guess. I don't have a heat mat company off the top of my head that I
Okay,
can tell you the name, but there's customers of ours again from out of state that put them on their stairs and down to the driveway, and they're set on a sensor so that anytime it starts to snow or rain, it turns on.
what sort of expense is that?
How long is your ramp?
Oh, let's see. 15 feet? 18 feet?
Yeah, I think you're probably gonna be looking at $8,000 or $10,000 for the heat mats. Yeah, as I said, they're not inexpensive, but
Yeah.
if it keeps you safe and
Easy, like 400,000. Yeah.
because you don't need the ramp.
Don't need the ramp anymore. It's handy, I rather enjoy it in the dry weather. I have friends who find getting into my home very easy because of the ramp. Up this ramp, don't get rid of the ramp.
Right, is it aluminum,
I look at it and it's.
wood or aluminum?
Hmm?
Is it wood
It's
or?
wood. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, we put it in a hurry. And it's a very substantial, sturdy structure.
Yeah, well, don't take my quote on it, because I've never bought one of the heat mats, but I'd research them. I think that's a good option. If you're getting some use out of it in the summer and your friends are
Yeah.
finding it easier to get in and out of the house. And we never know when any of us might need a ramp, right? So if you tear it out and then.
Search.
Looks like it'd be a lot less than that.
$2,100 for 36 inches wide and 15 feet long. I didn't hear that, what? $2,160 for 36 inches wide and 15 feet long.
Pretty much.
Right.
Come in different lengths and stuff, it's just a.
Quick Amazon, right? First thing that pops up on,
Yeah,
okay,
this
yeah.
particular brand is heat track.
Yes,
I'm not so much for safety for convenience. There is a roof heater in front of my garage with the plow can't plow. And I turned it on when the first snow comes and it's nice clear.
great,
And it cost me like $35.
right? It's a roof heater, you know, the wire that you put up on your roof to keep ice dams from.
I never,
He buried it right in front of his garage where the plow guy can't get to, and it melts the snow as it falls. That's a great idea. Dirt driveway, I gotta assume. Yeah, yep,
Where we used to live,
I don't.
we had some friends who had a driveway that was fairly steep. And we lived in Potsdam, New York, where it gets snowy and really fun. They had heat stuff under the steep section of that driveway.
Yeah.
And, you know, I still.
Yeah, so heat tape, maybe. That's all low voltage tubing now, so it's not a fire hazard or anything. Yes,
Could you just say a little bit about what your company does? Like, I know you obviously do complete remodels like you've shown us. How small a job do you guys have?
So we do have,
Just cabinet things?
Yep,
inserts, and-
we've got two businesses. It's Foremost Builders does the remodeling, and then we've got a business called First Home Care and Repair. Some of you may have seen our vans around. It looks like an ambulance, or they look like ambulances. So yeah, that does very small projects. Hourly charge is $115 for the very small project and goes up to the larger projects which don't require design. So if somebody needed a ramp built, we'd go out and look at it and then give them a fixed price on what the materials and labor would be to put in a ramp, but it doesn't need our designers that we have in-house for the remodel projects, so. Yeah, and we've got lots of customers in Eastman that we've done very small projects for, so. Great, I think I went way over time. Carol's jumping out of her seat. Thank you. Appreciate all your great questions and
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Before you leave, can I make a plug for this, our